Once upon a time, in the quaint village of Corkington, there lived a girl named Maggie. Now, Maggie wasn't your typical 10-year-old. She was allergic to routine. Yes, you heard that right. Routine. While other kids reveled in predictability, Maggie craved spontaneity like a squirrel craves acorns. Every morning, as the sun peeked through her bedroom window, Maggie would leap out of bed, her wild curls bouncing like a kangaroo on caffeine. She'd fling open the curtains and say,
"Good morning, world. Surprise me."
Her parents, bleary-eyed from their own predictable lives, would exchange amused glances. They'd long given up on trying to understand their quirky daughter. Maggie's school days were a roller coaster of randomness. She'd arrive wearing mismatched socks because, who needs symmetry anyway? And greet her teacher with a jaunty,
"Top of the morning to you, Mrs. Poppins."
Mrs. Poppins, a staunch advocate of order, would sigh and adjust her glasses. During math class, Maggie would scribble equations on her notebook, adding doodles of unicorns and rocket ships. When asked why she hadn't solved the problem, she'd wink and say,
"Math is like life. Sometimes you need to find the magic in the mess."
The other kids exchanged puzzled glances, but secretly, they admired her audacity. At lunchtime, Maggie sat with the cafeteria's misfits, the kids who wore superhero capes to school or spoke in rhyming couplets. They'd share their sandwiches, PB&J with a side of quirkiness, and discuss the mysteries of the universe.
"Why do zebras have stripes?"
pondered Timmy, the boy with rainbow shoelaces.
"Because they're undercover referees."
Maggie replied, earning uproarious laughter. Afternoons were for adventures. Maggie explored the nearby woods, chasing butterflies and befriending squirrels. She'd whisper secrets to the ancient oak tree, convinced it held the answers to life's quirkiest questions.
"Why do socks disappear in the laundry?"
she'd ask. The oak tree would rustle its leaves, and Maggie would interpret it as,
They join a secret sock society.
One day, Maggie decided she needed a pet. A companion as delightfully unpredictable as she was. She visited the local animal shelter, her heart aflutter. The shelter lady, Mrs. Whimsy, showed her a parade of pets: a sneezing cat, a jittery chinchilla, and a goldfish that moonwalked in its bowl. But Maggie's allergies flared up like fireworks on New Year's Eve. Desperate, she sat on the floor, surrounded by fur and feathers.
"Why can't I find the perfect pet?"
she asked. Mrs. Whimsy patted her shoulder.
"Dear, maybe your perfect pet isn't furry or feathery. Maybe it's something else entirely."
And that's when Maggie spotted it. A tiny robot dog with googly eyes and a penchant for breakdancing.
"Meet Gizmo.
Mrs. Whimsy said.
He's hypoallergenic and programmed to surprise you every day."
Maggie adopted Gizmo and their adventures began. They rode invisible unicorns to the moon, solved riddles with talking squirrels, and danced the cha-cha in the rain. As they sat under the starry sky one night, Maggie asked,
"Gizmo, why are we allergic to routine?"
Gizmo's googly eyes blinked.
"Because, my dear Maggie, routine is the enemy of wonder, and wonder is the spice that makes life taste like rainbow sherbet."
And so Maggie embraced her allergy. She continued to defy predictability, leaving a trail of laughter and glitter wherever she went. The villagers shook their heads but secretly admired her spirit. Even Mrs. Poppins cracked a smile now and then. Once upon a time, in the quaint village of Corkington, once upon a time. At some point in the past, it is commonly used at the beginning of fairy tales and children's stories.
Once upon a time, there lived a young girl.
Quaint, strange and unusual in an old-fashioned and charming way, the fishing village was very quaint. While other kids reveled in predictability, Maggie craved spontaneity like a squirrel craves acorns. To revel in something. To enjoy something. To get great pleasure from a situation or an activity. They reveled in their success. Predictability. the quality something has when it is possible for you to know in advance that it will happen or what it will be like. Anxious people usually benefit from predictability in their schedules. To crave. To have a strong desire. Children usually crave their parents' attention. Spontaneity. A way of behaving in which you do what feels natural whenever you want to, rather than planning things first. Josh has the spontaneity of a child. Every morning, as the sun peeked through her bedroom window, Maggie would leap out of bed, her wild curls bouncing like a kangaroo on caffeine. To peek through. To glimpse through something or to be revealed partially through or from behind something. Blades of grass were starting to peek through the snow. To leap out. To jump out. The cat leaped out from behind the bush and pounced on the mouse. To bounce. To move up and down quickly. The ball bounced away and Emma chased it. She'd fling open the curtains and say, to fling something open. To open something quickly and energetically. The door was flung open and my mom entered. Her parents, bleary-eyed from their own predictable lives, bleary-eyed, having eyes that look very tired and watery because of fatigue, drink, or emotion. After studying all night, I was bleary-eyed. They'd long given up on trying to understand their quirky daughter. Quirky. Unusual, odd, or bizarre in an attractive and interesting way. John is tall and has a quirky sense of humor. And greet her teacher with a jaunty,
Top of the morning to you, Mrs. Poppins.
jaunty. Having a lively, cheerful, and confident air. He's rarely been in a jaunty mood before. Top of the morning. Old-fashioned way of saying good morning, commonly used in Ireland. He always started the day with a smile and a hearty top of the morning.
Top of the morning, Homer.
Mrs. Poppins, a staunch advocate of order. Staunch. Firm, loyal, steady. She wants to go to the concert, but her parents' staunch opposition prevents her. Advocate of something. To hold or promote a particular belief or idea. My dentist is an advocate of brushing your teeth twice a day. The other kids exchanged puzzled glances, but secretly, they admired her audacity. Puzzled, confused, and unable to understand something. Jenny seemed puzzled about what the question meant. Audacity. Courage or confidence of a kind that other people find shocking or rude. He had the audacity to blame me for his mistake. At lunchtime, Maggie sat with the cafeteria's misfits. Misfit. A person who is not accepted by a group of people, especially because their behavior or their ideas are very different. I didn't really know anybody at the party, so I felt like a misfit. They'd share their sandwiches, PB&J, with a side of quirkiness. PB&J. PB&J is short for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We made PB&Js for the kids and their friends. Pondered Timmy, the boy with rainbow shoelaces. To ponder. To think carefully about something. She pondered over his words. Maggie replied, earning uproarious laughter. Uproarious. Uncontrollably noisy and funny. At the stadium there was an uproarious crowd of supporters. The oak tree would rustle its leaves and Maggie would interpret it as to rustle. To make a soft, muffled sound like that caused by the movement of dry leaves or paper. The leaves rustled in the breeze. She visited the local animal shelter, her heart aflutter. Aflutter? Nervously excited? I'm all aflutter about meeting him after so long. A sneezing cat, a jittery chinchilla, and a goldfish that moonwalked in its bowl. Jittery. Extremely tense and nervous, jumpy. He felt all jittery before the interview. But Maggie's allergies flared up like fireworks on New Year's Eve. To flare up. A sudden outburst or intensification. Violence flared up again last night. A tiny robot dog with googly eyes and a penchant for breakdancing. Googly eyes. Unfocused or rolling. Her eyes were googly for a second, but when they focused she started singing. Penchant. A strong preference or tendency. I have a penchant for pizza. I could eat it daily.
He's hypoallergenic and programmed to surprise you every day.
Hypoallergenic. Having little likelihood of causing an allergic reaction. This hypoallergenic soap is perfect for people whose skin is prone to allergies.
And wonder is the spice that makes life taste like rainbow sherbet.
Sherbet. A creamy frozen dessert, lighter than ice cream. I like vanilla ice cream, but I don't like lemon sherbet. She continued to defy predictability, leaving a trail of laughter and glitter wherever she went. To defy. To openly refuse to do something. It is rare to see students openly defying their teachers. Even Mrs. Poppins cracked a smile now and then. To crack a smile. To smile slightly. My dad cracked a smile but didn't say anything. Now and then. From time to time, occasionally, we meet up for lunch now and then, but not as often as we used to. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story as much as we did, don't forget to subscribe. It means the world to us. And more stories to come.